Hello, and welcome to Money Mystery No More. Do you know the saying, there is no such thing as a free lunch? Okay, how about the old, you don't get something for nothing, and then the classic, money don't grow on trees. In the general spirit of day-to-day living, they are true. The underlying message is the same. But wait, there is a way to get more money, to grow your cash easily. Let's talk about the reality and concept of how compound interest compounds cash and makes you easy money. Be prepared for a wow factor. If you really want to benefit and get the most out of this video, walk through the examples with an open mind to learn how the practical application of compound interest helps you by keeping it simple. It's awesome, and remember, hit that subscribe button to keep getting the latest and greatest information. Okay, let's remove the mystery. We recently did a video on simple interest for those of you wanting to get more familiar with the basic use of the percentage and how it impacts you. Watch Simple Interest is Interestingly Simple for a great introduction involving simple interest and compound interest. It pulls back the veil on rates, which is the percentage, when talking about costs and returns associated with debt or investing. Compound interest is important to understand because the impact is quite different. Simply put, compound interest is the amount earned or charged on the original principal amount and/or the balance amount. Whatever that amount is, it has the related interest rate applied to determine the new interest fee. The interest fee is then added on, thus compounded. Alternatively, simple interest only uses the original principal amount to calculate a consistent interest fee. So, both simple interest and compound interest are basically a fee that borrowers pay to a lender. That fee is commonly called interest, and the borrower varies, but it is the party that uses someone's money or assets. You can be the borrower that uses someone's money or assets. You can also loan your money to another party so they become the borrower. This would be when you act as an investor. Interest is normal. Whether it's simple or compounded, it applies to the borrower or to the investor. As the borrower, you pay interest, typically as a fee for the money you borrow for a good or service you want or need. As the investor, you are the one being paid interest because you are loaning your money to them. So the other party, as the borrower, pays interest to you. It's their price to pay for borrowing your money. Be glad it works both ways. You can either pay interest as a borrower or be paid interest as an investor. Whether your transaction involves money as a borrower or as an investor, you're typically going to deal with APR and APY. APR is the annual percentage rate. APY is the annual percentage yield. During your transaction talk, negotiation, or discussion, your objective is to understand how it works for you or how it works against you based on your given situation. Most consumer loans involve interest rates quoted as an APR. Basically, it's the fee charged by your lender for borrowing their money. The APR does not factor compounding of their interest rate, so this is normally the simple interest rate. Your amount of interest never changes because the interest rate is set and applied to the original principal. Then you get the APY. Basically, this is the rate of return, the fee charged that your lender will require for borrowing their money, compounded for the year, normally onto each payment. You need to be aware that the APY will add more cost because their interest rate is applied to the balance on every payment period. Ultimately, you pay more with compounding interest due to this. However, on the flip side, when you are earning money from a high yield account or other instrument, the institution pays you interest on the current balance each applicable period. You can also accelerate the return by consistently adding money to it each week or month. As an investor, you want to take advantage of compounding interest. While many loans, including mortgages, use simple interest, several do use compound interest. The most common is your credit card. Compound interest can be bad for you in this case, especially based on the frequency of compounding. You'll need to know how often compounding applies, such as daily, weekly, monthly, or annually. The interest fee accrues and is added to the principal prior to the payment being applied. Remember, the principal amount is often the starting amount of a loan or an investment. Then, as payments are applied and interest is recalculated, it becomes the balance, which is then used to calculate the new compound interest next time. You ultimately pay interest on interest, and the balance continues to grow, if not managed properly. Calculating compound interest is not as easy. It can be done, though, old school by calculating period by period. However, to simplify the long process, you would need a scientific calculator due to exponential math and future values. In fact, because this video is attempting to simplify the process, we will kindly refer you to some online research by Googling calculating compound interest manually, and you'll find plenty of material explaining various formulas involving the key components, like FV, which is future value, P equals principal, I equals annual interest rate, C equals compounding frequency, and N equals number of years. Now, for some good old-fashioned math demonstrated in a spreadsheet, let's look at an apples-to-apples comparison of debt versus investment. We're going to make a few assumptions in this exercise. First, the annual interest rate of the debt, a credit card, is 15%, a ballpark standard. Second, the annual interest rate of the investment, a Roth IRA, is 6%, a bit low considering a lot of investments assumptions use a 7 to 8% return factor. Third, the borrower does not use the credit card again, incurring more debt. Fourth, both the borrower and the investor start with $2,500 even. 5. Both the borrower and the investor pay or invest $300 each month. 6. Compound interest is applied at the end of each period, in this case each month. Finally, the exercise stops once the credit card is paid off to see the impact. What's fascinating is that after just 9 months of making a $300 payment to the running balance, the credit card is paid off. Notably, in 9 months, they spent $2,656.72 at $300 per month, except month 9, which is $256.72. They were charged $156.72 in compound interest, which they paid. But look at the investor practicing the same discipline each month. In 9 months, they too made a $300 investment per month, spending $2,700 total. They were paid $169.41 in compounded interest, which they saved as earnings. But they also built their investment to $5,369.41 in just 9 months. They more than doubled the initial $2,500 investment. That is how compound interest compounds cash. What a powerful lesson on utilizing money and how exciting for any investor focused on growth. There is an additional factor, a significant item, you want to keep in mind as you look at borrowing whenever interest is involved. It's your good old credit score. When borrowing, the interest rate applied to your loan will most often be based heavily on whether you are considered low risk or high risk. If you have a good, strong credit score, you are normally considered low risk. You will be able to negotiate a lower interest rate, but if you have bad credit and are deemed high risk, your negotiation powers are limited. For help in this area, listen to the Money Mystery No More video titled Correcting Your Credit Score. It will assist you with strengthening your credit. As previously mentioned, your objective is to understand how interest rates work for you or how it works against you. Compound interest offers good uses of interest rates and bad uses of interest rates. Think of the two most common scenarios. Good use. Savings accounts or other investment tools provide you an interest rate on the monies you deposit with them. This interest works for you because it is a fee paid to you by the bank because you are letting them use your money. Almost all investment accounts pay you with compound interest, and because the interest earned keeps getting added to the balance, the earnings can become very rewarding, especially over time. It's even better if you regularly contribute to the account too. Now think of the bad use, credit cards. While super common and convenient, the interest rate always works against you because it is a fee you pay, and it is always added to your balance, which includes prior interest fees. You almost always end up paying more due to compound interest. So far we've discussed and demonstrated the good use, the bad use, the effects of compound interest, and even your credit score relationship. Some takeaways involving simple interest for you to consider include: 1. Know the frequency of interest because it impacts your finances differently, whether as a debtor or as an investor. 2. You as a borrower can save more money, pay your debt off quicker, and manage the numbers easier. 3. The interest fee is never applied to the principal amount, so you never end up paying interest on interest. And 4. You as an investor do make money and it's easily calculated. Looking at compound interest also offers a few key takeaways for you to consider. 1. Whatever the frequency of interest is matters. Figuring it out can be done manually, but it takes a little more effort and time, or use a financial calculator. 2. Your debt will likely take longer to pay off and cost more due to compounding. 3. The interest fee is always applied to the principal amount, which results in a higher balance each pay period. It is compounded, and you end up paying interest on interest. 4. You as an investor do make money, a lot more money, and it can be manually calculated but may be easier with a financial calculator. The quick takeaways are that both simple interest or compound interest are effective for you as either a borrower to pay debt or as an investor to earn. Depending on your situation financially, you will be able to embrace the method best suited for your needs. At this point, you understand that as a borrower, you want simple interest, but as an investor, you definitely want compound interest because compound interest compounds cash much better in building your wealth. Just remember the basics and know you can figure out how to best apply it by keeping it simple. Remember, hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications so you can keep getting the latest and greatest information from Money Mystery No More. I'll see you in the next video.